You want to do this? Have the fight with us in Congress. Let's make sure we get the issues out there. I'm so mad. I'm spitting mad about this because it's hurting the people who can't vote. Children don't vote. Let's not take away their opportunity. So symbolically, it's taking away children's opportunity, but more to the point, it's not efficiency, it's evisceration.
Yeah. What's up, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. This might be Trump's most important cut yet. A cut that could save the entire future of this nation's youth. On top of that, some immense pressure he's placing on the Fed to try and cut rates to help the stock market, which has been having a rough one basically the past month or two, and a bunch of other Trump news. Now, obviously, the meltdowns have been massive as government waste and abuse has been getting cut, and I am here for it. I am even somebody who, owns a Tesla, and I really hope one of these unhinged lunatics just even thinks about trying to key my wife's vehicle. I just think it would be hilarious. But on a less light note, before I get on the topic, many of you know I have a coffee company. It's become a meme that, I annoy you with the ad reads for it. Well, what you might not know is that we basically do everything from soup to nuts. We only rely on one outside vendor, really, and that is to take our coffee and put it into K-Cups. This K-Cup machine is highly specialized and they cost $50,000 or something like that. And so it's always made more sense to just pay somebody else to do it. We send our coffee, they put it in the K-Cup for us, easy peasy. Well, as we had increased our volume, it appears maybe they did a little bit of digging. I don't know what the situation is, but they've left us in a very bad situation. I don't know if it's because of my political views or what the situation is. So instead, we're just going to buy our own K-Cup machine. In order to finance that, I have put out 1,000 only of these Founders Vault packs that you will be the very first person to get our spring flavors, which are orange tangerine and cherry cordial. You will also get our only run of freeze-dried strawberries. You'll get our Founders coin, and you will get a hand-signed thank you letter and numbered from me. There's only 1,000 of these, but I'm asking for your help, and I will give you all this awesome stuff before anyone else can get it. And this is going towards our K-Cup machine. Many of you know we're expanding into Amazon and things like that. We can't have our entire business held hostage by one angry anti-Trump person. So if you get a chance, I'm going to leave a link in the description. Please help us out, and I would be eternally thankful. I'll be signing these thank you cards basically every night for the next week, and then they'll be in there when they come out. Pete Hegseth slashes 60,000 Pentagon civilian jobs in a massive purge sending shockwaves. A day after Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency decapitated the U.S. Institute of Peace, a congressionally funded independent nonprofit. Well, it's not really nonprofit if it's taxpayer funded, but anyway. The Defense Department made moves to slash the Pentagon civil workforce. Pentagon leaders are looking to cut 50 to 60,000 civilian jobs from the agency. Now, they keep saying civilian to make it seem like, I don't know, you're supposed to feel bad. But my question is, if we can cut 60,000 jobs, I don't really know what else to say. We're very obviously overstaffed. I don't really know how else to kind of put it to you, how else to, I don't know what else to say. If we can just trim that many jobs, we are bonkers overstaffed. Now, so far, fewer than 21,000 have taken the government up on Musk's fork in the road email offer allowing employees to take deferred resignation, according to senior defense official. That said, the Pentagon officials say Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth wants to ensure cuts don't jeopardize U.S. military readiness He was one of a handful of agency heads who told employees to hit the pause button when Musk asked 2 million federal workers to write an email about 5 things they did last week to reach the goal of 5 to 8% cut in civilian workforce of more than 900,000. They employ 1 million people. What are they all doing? 1 million people? The official said the department aims to slash about 6,000 positions a month by simply not replacing workers who routinely leave. A key concern is that service members may be tapped to fill those civilian jobs, and then they'd have to backfill that. I think that's fine, but the cut is bonkers. To me, I don't understand how we have this many people employed with the government, but that just shows how naive I am. Word of the civilian cuts come after the U.S. launched attacks last week on the Houthi targets in Yemen in response to attacks on shipping in the Red Sea. President Trump is seeking to find a negotiated solution to Russia's war on Ukraine, although there is some ambiguity in the immediate results of his Tuesday's call with Vladimir Putin. Well, this is a complicated thing, and I think it's just going to take a minute. And so I'm willing to give him some patience. I'd like to see a ceasefire in place much sooner than later. I'd like to see a stop in sending all U.S. federal aid, taxpayer dollars there immediately, far sooner than later. The peace deal will take time to negotiate, but a ceasefire really shouldn't. Now on to the biggest cut. Trump today to sign his executive order taking apart the federal Department of Education, which he says is full of zealots and Marxists in a major executive order. Well, we know that that's true. We know that schools across this country are secretly helping trans students. We know that teachers across this country, librarians across this country are all about, giving students closets so that they can cross-dress when they get to school. They tell them to not tell their parents about, feelings that they're having about who they sleep with and all this kind of stuff. I've covered it at length. But more importantly than that, the Department of Education has been around since the 70s. Okay. If anyone asks you, this is the question that nobody can refute. If anyone has a problem with him dismantling it, the Department of Education has been around since the 70s. Okay. Costing hundreds of billions of dollars. Our test scores have done nothing but go down since its creation. Also, when people push back and act like, well, all the schools are going to close down because there's no Department of Education. All Trump is doing is taking it out of federal hands and telling states to pay attention to it. Once states can pay attention to it, they know better than most what their students actually need and want. They know better than most what it's going to take to raise those test scores. And more importantly, at the state level, it's much easier for us as citizens and voters in that state to hold our leadership accountable when our scores do not improve. That is the overwhelming positive outcome of abolishing the federal Department of Education. The move fulfills a key campaign pledge. The White House says in a fact sheet on the measure, as Trump said during this presidential campaign, the Department of Education was full of radical zealots and Marxists. The White House said Education Secretary Linda McMahon will be directed to facilitate the department's cutbacks while continuing to ensure the effective and uninterrupted delivery of services, programs, and benefits on the Americans rely on. It also mandates that any programs or activities receiving remaining Department of Education funds should not advance DEI or gender ideology. The Trump administration lays out its case that the department has deeply been inefficient in its 46 years of existence. They claim the Department of Education has spent $3 trillion without improving student achievement as measured by standardized national assessment education progress scores. That's not a claim. That's a fact. We know that that's true. The White House hits hard on $200 billion wasted during the lockdown subsidizing remote learning, which, given the substantial learning loss that resulted, typifies the ineffectiveness of the current federally driven model. Trump also claims that the Biden administration made issues even worse, having wasted more than $1 billion in grants focused on entrenching radical ideologies in education. The site of the rewrite of Title 11 to expand the definition of gender discrimination to include gender ideology, and over $226 million in grants pushing gender ideology in the schools. I want every parent in America to be empowered to send their child to public, private charter, or faith-based school of their choice, Trump said during the campaign. I would also ask that Trump pay attention to people that want to homeschool and give them at least a tax credit. Or by the way, people that don't have kids should have a tax credit too. I've been paying for schools around me for, I'm 40, going on 42 years old. I don't have any kids in school, but that's neither here nor there. At least give people a tax credit who want to homeschool their kids. The time for universal school choice has come. As we return to education to the states, I will use every power I have to give parents rights. In the weeks since he took office, Trump administration has already cut department staff in half and overhauled much of the department's work. Trump advisor Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency has cut dozens of contracts that have been dismissed as woke and useless. A gutted Institute of Education Sciences, which gathers data on the nation's academic progress. The agency's main role is financial. Annually, it distributes billions of dollars in federal money to colleges and schools and manages federal student loan portfolio. If you want to really get into a racket, look into what the government is doing with student loans. That's a whole nother racket. Loans that you can never get out of. There's a reason they tell you every student needs to go to college, every student needs a 4-year degree, is because they want that loan revenue. And obviously, a lot of these departments, if you close the Department of Education, is simply not needed. The media now, of course, is starting to freak out. Trump's appetite for revenge is insatiable. Well, this is what I voted for. This is what I voted for. Trump is also set to produce more oil, driving down gas prices, which will put more money in Americans' pockets. And, this is the thing, saying that the Fed needs to cut rates. I don't know. I'm not a global economist. I know that the price of money to expand is too high. But right now, this is absolute great news. The Department of Education has been a source of radicalizing our children for the past 10, 15, 20 years. They don't actually help students in any way, shape, or form. And ultimately, I'm not sorry to see it go. Now, I hope the people that work there, the good people, get a reasonable severance. And hopefully they can just, if they're good, they can just get work in the state where they live, right? If you work for the Federal Department of Education, you live in Wisconsin, go get a job in Wisconsin doing what you did before if you were good at it. This is great news. This will save our kids. Please help me out. Help me recover from what I assume is a butthurt liberal, and help us purchase our own K-Cup manufacturing machine so we can just no longer rely on anyone else by picking up the Founders Vault Pack, numbered, signed. Only 1,000 exist. You'll get our spring flavors before anyone else. And I greatly, 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 really appreciate you all helping me grow this company. We'll talk to you again real soon.